Hello, welcome back. I'm excited for the next few videos we're going to be doing because I love the theme of what we're painting. And it's a great time of year because we are entering the holidays. And I know this is the busiest time of the year, isn't it? Just about. And I'm going to challenge you to take just 30 minutes once a week to do something for yourself. Like lock yourself in the bathroom and paint. Wherever you have to go, but find just 30 minutes just once a week, if that's all you can do, and paint and create something for yourself. Also, besides this being a really busy time of the year, it's a really hard time of the year, a really difficult time of the year for a lot of people. For some people, it's the saddest time of the year for them, especially if they're having problems with their health or if they've lost a loved one. Or if they're still alone for some reason. Sometimes it can be a really hard time. So I have a challenge for you today. I'm going to challenge you to go onto Amazon or go over to Hobby Lobby somewhere and buy some of these Strathmore watercolor cards. They're 100% watercolor paper. They're really awesome. They're not expensive. On Amazon, I just checked on Amazon yesterday. You can get 6 of them. They come with envelopes as well. So you get the envelope and the card. 6 of them for $7.57, which is pretty darn good. If you need more than that, I would buy 2 packs of 6, because for some reason the pack of 10 is like price per card. It's actually more expensive. So I would get 2 packs of 6, or you can get up to 50 cards for $30. I buy 100 cards at a time because I paint a lot of cards. But I'm going to give you a Christmas challenge, or a holiday, if you don't celebrate Christmas, whatever you do celebrate, Hanukkah or Kwanzaa or whatever it is. I'm going to give you a challenge during this holiday season to do something kind for someone. I'm sure you're doing kind things for people all the time. But I'm going to challenge you to do something kind using your watercolor. Even if you don't think you paint very well, none of us think we paint very well, to be honest with you. That is just true. Everything I paint, I find the one little flaw in it, and it drives me crazy. Other people think, oh, this is wonderful. I'm thinking, no, it's really not. So everyone feels that way about their own paintings, but I guarantee you, when you send a card to someone and you write inside the card and say, I was just thinking of you, so I painted this little card, I hope you're having a good day, or whatever you want to say to them. But I would actually tell them somewhere in the writing that you painted the card, because I've discovered over the years, people don't notice. I just made a card for one of my sons-in-law, and he loved the card, but didn't realize till my daughter said, you know, Mom painted this for you. He said, she painted it? He didn't even notice my name. My signature was there, but they don't notice that. They just notice how cool the card is. And once they realize you've actually painted it for them, in this day and age, to send a letter or a card handwritten inside, something you did personally for someone, is huge in today's world. So I'm going to challenge you to do that. So let me show you what we're doing today. I'm going to switch cameras here real quickly. Let's pause this. Okay, so we're going to paint autumn leaves. You can find source photos everywhere for autumn leaves. In advertisements everywhere right now. These are just a few that I've collected. And they're all different shapes and types, and you can find lots of these around. But I've sent you, attached to your video email, I sent you 2 that we're going to look at. Okay, so this is the first one. Now, the 2 I'm going to show you are very different from each other. Let me see if I can get a little bit more close-up of this. Let me put this over here. Okay, so this is autumn leaves, but you notice that there's no background color. It's just the 3 leaves. It's mostly light green with a little bit of yellow and a tiny bit of a rust color. It's like the beginning of fall, and the leaves are just turning colors. This is the line drawing you should have had attached to your email. To do that, if you don't get my emails and you want these line drawings, just email me. The email should be down below in the description. silverbrusheswatercolor@gmail.com, and I'll be happy to send you any line drawings you might have missed. So I like this one, but it's very, what I would call staid. It's simple. There's no background. It's just starting to change colors. This is not the one we're going to paint. This is the one you can paint on your own later using any colors you want. Here's the one we're going to paint today. Here's your line drawing, and here is the painting we're going to do today. I love this one. Let me see if I can get this just slightly. Here, I think this is a better look probably. I like this one better than the other one, and I'll tell you why. First of all, it's deeper into fall, so the colors are really vibrant, and it really, really changed a lot. And then when I got done with it, I put a background color around, just kind of smeared it all over the place. I did it very haphazardly. And then I splattered paint on it. And so I like this because it looks like you're deep into fall. The leaves are literally falling off the trees now. And you have splatters and a really loose background to indicate that the wind might be blowing. There's activity in this one. This is a very active painting. When you compare that to the other one, where'd it go? Hang on, here it is. When you compare that to this one, this does not have the amount of movement that this one has. And I got the movement by being more vibrant in my colors, making a really sloppy background, and putting splatters in it. So here's the one we're doing. I've got my watercolor card. I have put the line drawing on the watercolor card, and as usual, I have drawn much darker than I normally would so you can see it better on camera. This is on a Strathmore card, and when you look at the Strathmore cards, let me tell you a couple of things about that. You'll notice where the fold is, that one side of the card has like a bump. It just kind of sticks out a little bit. If you turn it over, this side of the card has an indentation. This is the inside of the card. And it's much smoother. So if you painted on this side of the card, the world would not fall apart. But you probably wouldn't like it quite as well as painting on this, the outside of the card. So watch for this lump, this little ridge. That's the outside of the card. So I went ahead and put this on my light box. If you're painting this, then you probably put it in a window somewhere and drew it on your card. And I've got my colors. So here's the colors we're using. You notice, as usual, I did not clean my little water palette thing here, my little paint palette, because I'm using the very same colors that I used on something else I was doing. But I'll tell you what the colors are you're going to use. One is yellow. I'm using lemon yellow, but whatever yellow you've got in your tubes or on your pan will work fine. And then I've got a green. I'm using sap green, and that sap green has kind of run across my palette a little bit. I have it kind of smeared across because I've used it so much. So any green will work. If you have like a yellowy green, it probably would be better than using a bluish green. So look at the greens that you've got. You could always take whatever green you've got and add some yellow to it and mix up a yellowy green that would look like sap green. And then I've got red. Any red will work. This is quinacridone red. You can use any red you want. And then I've got a rust color, or you would use brown in your palette. If your red is really bright pinkish, just add some brown into your red, and it'll make kind of a more of a reddish brown or a deeper brown. So we've got yellow, green, brown, and red. Those are our 4 colors that we're going to do. And I'm going to start with my Raphael size 6. And we're going to do wet on wet. Now you recall what wet on wet is. We've done it before. We did it with our coneflower number 2. And I think we did it with another painting that I had just recently. But we're going to take the leaves and we're going to paint the leaves with water. That's how we're going to start. So here we go. Painting it with water. Just clean water, nothing else. And I'm going to do all 3 leaves. Might as well do them at once. And what you want to do is let it sit there for a second so it kind of meshes into the watercolor paper. You want it to absorb it just a little bit because the paint will actually move better. Now in this case, I'm actually painting, remember the coneflowers, We didn't want one wet object to be next to the other wet object because the paint would flow. But in this one, I don't care because it is crazy wild falling leaves. And if they get smushy, so much the better. Okay, so now they're all wet. You can add a little bit more water. If when you put your first color on, it doesn't move at all or very little, and you think, oh darn, why is my paint not moving? Simply put more water on it and then go back and pull the color up again. I'm going to put yellow, and I'm just going to put kind of a background, pale yellow on all the leaves, right? Kind of a bright yellow. Doesn't look like so much on your camera probably, but it's pretty bright. Remember that watercolor dries lighter than it looks when you first put it on. Sometimes you'll get a painting and you'll go, oh, it looks so perfect. Then it dries and you go, what happened? It was perfect, but now it's too blah. It's because watercolor paint does dry lighter than it looks when it's wet. Now this yellow I think is too bright. I only want it for a background color, so I'm going to add some more water on my brush and kind of move it around. Now, suppose I get this point, I go, well, I went outside the line there. Do I care? You probably don't care, but if you do care, just take a little corner of a tissue and just soak up some of the paint. Pretty easy to do. Kleenex is my best friend. I love to paint with Kleenex on my table at all times because you need it. Okay, so I think it's a little bit too yellowy, and I'll tell you why. We want to have these really look reddish when they're done. And a really deep yellow background, I think might just be too much. So, guess what? Kleenex, just dab it. Well, that knocked that yellow right back. Awesome, I like it that way. It looks good now. Secondary color, and we're going to do it while this is still wet. And because I dabbed it with the Kleenex, now it might be a little too dry for paint to move around. So get some more water, clean paintbrush, add some more water to it so that when you do put your next color on, you can be guaranteed it's going to make a move. Keep the water coming. Okay, after I do that, I'm going to put green because, after all, the leaves were originally green. Now, I don't want a lot of green because if you look at the painting that's finished, you know, these are mostly rusty reds, right? A little bit of yellow peeking out here and there, and a little tiny bit of pale green peeking out here and there, but not a lot. So I'm just going to dab. Oh, this is a nice yellowy green. Isn't that great? Let's see if we can get this so we can see it a little better, a little closer. This will do it, I think. I'm just going to go ahead and dab some yellowy green, not everywhere, just here and there. Okay, now mostly, when you saw what I just did, mostly that paint staying put right where I put it, right? What does that mean? You need more water. Yes, more water if you want to make it move. So I'm going to add more water to it so it will move. This is a very simple painting, by the way. This will go really fast. You'll be amazed how fast this will go. Okay, so now I've got the green. I took my brush, I got it clean and put it in the water to get it clean. And then I rubbed it either on my towel is always nearby or on a Kleenex, so it's just damp. And then I'm going to pick some color back up. Too green for my liking. And I think you'll find when you see me painting that I'm always changing. It's like, oh, too much. Oh, too little. And you just keep changing things until you go, oh, just right. Okay, next color is the red. Clean brush, pick up the red. Because I just added more water to this, it should now really move. Let's see what it does. Yes, it is. It's moving. More water. And just kind of blob it around. You see what I did? I didn't put it in any special spot. I'm just kind of blobbing it here and there because we're going to put our rust color on last. So I'm just blobbing it on there. I'm just dabbing it on. If it ends up you don't like where it is, like there's too much right there, so no problem. Damp brush, brush it back off. Damp brush, brush it back off. This one, like kind of weeped into the other leaf. I'll just brush it back off. I'm liking that. I'm liking that a lot. I think I want a little tiny bit more red down in here. Very watery paint, not much color, just a lot of water and just a little bit of color in the water. This would be tea. I would say tea consistency, really watery, just like you would look at tea in a cup. You know, it's very watery, has very little color in it. Oh, I like what happened there. Wasn't that nice? I like that. Let's put some more here. Some more red here. Oops, oh, leave that because I'm going to splatter it anyway. We'll talk about splatters. 3 ways to make splatters today. Okay, now we're going to add the rust color. Now, we're going to do 2 stages on the rust color, which we'll call brown. I'm adding brown to the red. The red is already on my card. And if I add brown on top of it, what's going to happen? It's going to turn rusty, right? Easy way to make the rust color is just add some brown to the red. Now I want this rust to be really heavy on the edges of the leaves. Notice how these came out really heavy on the edges. I like it that way. And this, by the way, this painting will look very different than the last one because they always look different, don't they? They never look the same twice. That's because it's watercolor. And watercolor has a mind of its own for sure. A little bit more brown in the red. Yeah. Now, see what a straight line that was that came down? I'm going to rinse off my brush, wipe it on my towel so it's just clean and damp. And I'm going to dab along where those 2 colors joined together. And that way it won't be such a harsh line. Also, I don't want the paint down here. Hang on, got to get a new Kleenex. I go through lots of Kleenex. Just going to dab that out of there. There we go. And let's dab that out. More rust color because these leaves more brown. These leaves are really late in the season. Ooh, I wish I'd had that on a close-up camera. Let me see if I can get a close-up of this. I have my camera, my document camera, a little different today, so this is what I just did. Oh, look at what that did. Was that not awesome? Let me put it on the one further away. If it's nice and wet, when you touch it, it will just simply move without you doing hardly a thing. So there we are. They're looking pretty good. Turn this back around. I don't want that blob right here, so I'm going to take that off. All right, so now we need it to dry because the finishing part along the edge here, this finishing dark part, I don't want the leaves to be wet when I do that because I want that color to stay put. See that? This is wet on dry. I want that to stay put. You do it wet on wet, you know what you're going to get. You're going to get color that moves. But I want the finishing touch on this to be wet on dry. Hang on, I just made a mess. I like it when I make messes because you're going to make messes and you got to know how to fix them. Kleenex, yay! And then just dab that back where it was supposed to go. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and get my hair dryer out and dry this, and then I'll be back in just a second. Okay, we're back. Use the hair dryer. It took a little bit longer to dry than I thought it would because it was so darn wet. But it didn't take long at all, really. It was maybe 45 seconds or so. Okay, so now we're ready for the final touch on this. And I am going to use that really dark brown. I've got a dark brown here and I've got a red here. And I'd like to make that color. I'm thinking the dark brown is kind of a reddish brown already. I'm going to put a little bit of red in it, mix it together with a little bit of red, because I'd like to be a reddish brown. Let's see how this looks. Oh yeah, okay. So I'm going to change brushes. I think, let me try this brush and see. Yeah, I'm going to change brushes. I don't like the way that came off of my brush. I'm going to go to the silver velvet brushes. This is a size 4. I can go ahead and pick up some of that paint again. You don't want a lot of water this time. You know, everything else we've done so far has been very watery. Lots of water on the paper, lots of water in the paint, so it's all kind of slushy. We don't want that now. We're going to make more of a border, so we want to make it much darker. Now all I'm going to do is dab. I'm not going to paint. You're not going to paint with your paintbrush. You're going to dab, and let me get this in a closer look also. Hang on. Turn this around. There we are. And see if you can see what I'm doing on here. I'm going to use really a close-up. Let's start right in here. I'm just dabbing. I'm going to pull that down because that little leaf has a little tail on the end of the leaf. I'm going to pull this down and just dab, not all around the whole leaf. Let's go back. Not all around the whole leaf, just where I want it to go. And I don't want the whole thing to be. If you notice what I did here, I didn't put red all around the whole thing, right? Just certain parts of it, because that's how nature is. So I'm putting this around out on the outside. I think I'll put it on over here. This is going to be the part that's going to drive you crazy. I'll tell you right now, if you're going to go nuts over this painting, this is going to be it. Where you feel like you didn't get it quite right the way you wanted it, and that's why you practice. That's why you paint another one. I'm going to leave this alone, and I'm going to go up here, add a little bit there. Let's add a little bit here. And you know what? If the edges of your leaves become raggedy, great. Because let's face it, that's what happens, right? Leaves get torn up in the wind. Yeah, I'm starting to like that a lot. I think I'm going to do just this edge over here, just a little bit, and then I'll show you what I'm going to do to make it blend well. I'm going to add a little bit there. And while I've got this on my brush, I'm going to use the same dark color, very dark rusty color, to do the veins on the leaves. And I love this paintbrush because it has a fine point on it, and because it carries a lot of paint in the brush. You can paint for a long time where you pick another brush up and you'd paint like a ½ inch and be out of paint again. And you have to go pick up more. This paintbrush holds quite a bit of paint so that you can paint a long time. Let's go ahead and put the veins over here. Let's do the stems. Let's paint this part. I'm going to cover up my pencil lines. So I think I'll do some of these with the same dark rusty color. And remember, you're not going to paint like you're drawing with a pencil. You're not going to draw all around them. You're going to do a little bit and then leave it, and a little bit and then leave it. So you have a broken line going through your leaves. Okay, now the last thing I'm going to do is I want this really dark stuff I put in there to kind of bleed into the rest of the leaf. I don't want it to be really harsh, and I might even have too much on there. So I think I'm going to go back to my number 3 Raphael brush, clean and damp, and I'm going to go along where I put the dark paint, and I'm just going to touch it. Just dab it, and it smooths it right out so that it blends in with the rest of the leaf. It doesn't look like some big dark line. Like, look at this one right here. This is a big jerky line right here. And I haven't got my camera set up. There we are. This is probably a better view. So clean, dry brush. I should say clean, damp brush, I'm sorry. And dab it where the old paint merges with the new paint you just put on. Just dab it, dab it, dab it. And that water will eventually, the water on your brush will eventually soften that line. Be patient if it doesn't happen the first time you dab it. Can you see how that's happening? It's just kind of softening it down. I'm going to do this one too. I'm going to do all of them because really in nature, very few things are hard lines in nature. See this big hard line here. Let's see if I can get it even closer. Yeah, here I'll show you with this one. You see that really hard line right there? This guy right here? Damp, clean brush, touching just the inside of the paint color where the new dark paint meets the old paint you first put on. And see how that just softens it down? Boy, close up this looks terrible. It's looking pretty darn good when I look at it myself, just from an eyeballs look. But boy, when you magnify it this big, it kind of looks weird. You know, and then when you do that, when you dab this stuff, sometimes you decide, oh, well, maybe I'll just move that little bit of paint, maybe over into here. That would kind of look good. Yeah, I like that. So you just kind of experiment with these leaves. I'm going to go back out again. I'm going to work on this really dark place here. Just lay my damp, clean brush right along that line. And it just will make it move. Okay, now I've got another big line, don't I? Right here. So I'm going to just use clean, damp water. Now I've got more water, more watery this time, because I just want to make it move. The more you want your paint to move, the more water you use. Okay, I'm just about done with this. Yep, I'm thinking so. Okay, so now we're going to make this have some movement. If I compare this one with this one, these came out, the new ones came out more rough on the edges. But I like it rough. I think it looks kind of cool that way. So now we're going to do a background, a really easy background. We're going to go back. We're not going to pick up the rust color so much. We're going to pick up green because you want a contrast on your background. You don't want it to look the same as the leaves. So I'm going to pick up some green, watery green. In fact, I'll show you how watery it is. I mean, it runs. If I turn the little pan here, it's going to run all over. So just watery green. I think it's going to be too dark. I think that's too much paint. I'm going to wipe some of my paint off, add a little bit more water to it. There, and make it much more watery. And we're going to make a really light, crazy background. Now, this background, if you'll notice, I'm not doing anything fancy here, right? Pick up a little bit more paint, just really light over here, darker here. Notice the background's darker here and lighter over on the left. I like that. I did it by accident, but I like it because it makes a nice balance. You don't want to have everything exactly the same everywhere you go. Okay, this is looking pretty darn good. Now, we're almost done. We're going to simply splatter it. And the splattering can be done in several ways. So let me show you splattering. Okay, in fact, let's take a piece of watercolor paper and give you an example of how these splatters will look if you do them differently. I've got a plain piece of watercolor paper here. This is going to dry. I'm just going to move this off to the side, let it dry, and show you some splatters. So to splatter something, it's really quite simple. Hang on. Let me get this so it's not cockeyed. There we go. So I'm hoping you can see this. This is going to be really, really pale This is if you don't want to have a lot of busyness in your painting. You can simply use a toothbrush. Remember on the brushes video I did all about brushes? Yeah, toothbrush. And I want to have a variety of colors. I don't want to have it all the same yellow as my painting or all rust. I want to have a variety, so I'm going to make my toothbrush really drippy wet. And I'm going to just dab it in some green over there, dab it in some yellow over here, and maybe a little bit of red. And I want it really watery. So I've got it on the end of here, and I'm going to put my thumb like this and just spray it. Okay, now take a look at what that did, because you want to find the look that you really like. I'm hoping you can see this, because it is really very faint color on the card. I'm hoping you can see it. If I can get any closer. No? Oh, you can see it better on that camera, can't you? On that view. It's just right here, and it's just very, very faint. And that'll work. Let me show you another way to do it. I'm going to take this size 6 Raphael brush. It's the round brush we've been using on these leaves. I'm going to make it watery, put it in the paint. Same thing, yellowy, a little bit of red. I'm just mixing colors together on the brush. And a little green. Too much red. That red overpowers everything. I'm going to clean my brush off again, pick up some green. Let's just see what happens when I do it this way. Now you're going to use your finger, and you're going to tap the brush against your finger. Okay, now let's see what happens. See that? Much heavier, larger dots, and much more of them. All right, now I'm going to take my black velvet brush and get it wet. And I'm going to do the same thing, but this time I'm going to make the paint even more wet. Lots and lots of soupy, painty water. Let's see if this one comes out any different. Oh, I'll say it did. Probably because the paintbrush holds more paint, and it's got a pointed tip on it, so that when it flings, it kind of flings out to the point. So this did look different. Look at that. Talk about busy. Now, let me tell you, you can have too much splatter. You definitely can. So you want to practice just like I did, decide what you want it to look like. Once you like what you've got, then go ahead, bring your painting back. And do some splatters. What I think is cool is when I use the brush, the black velvet brush, it made these like long lines of splatters. Here's one that kind of went like a zip, like an S. That's because of that point on the paintbrush. So I've decided I'm going to use just the Raphael. Now if I use a big Raphael this size versus if I use this a size 6, if I use a size 3, see how much smaller that is? You're going to get, what do you think? Smaller drops. Okay, I used 2 different sizes on this painting. I have some little tiny drops I got from the size 2, and I have some bigger, plunkier looking things over here that I got with the size 6. So, try size 2 first. Lots and lots of water. Okay, and let's see what happens. Okay, I like that. See if I can get it just up to the camera this way, and you can see what it did. Okay, now I'm going to do it with the bigger brush because I want a variety of sizes. I'm going to use a bigger brush. And most of these came out rust colored, so I'm going to put some red in there. Don't get it too much. If you have really heavy big paint on a big brush, you're going to get huge big blobs of splatter. You don't want that. All right, so this one, awesome. Oh, I like that a lot. Put it right on the leaves. And then, because I want a hint of what this leaf used to be, which would be what color? Green. It used to be greens. I'm actually going to take my Kleenex. This is not very orthodox, but I'm going to take it, I'm going to put it right in here and pick up a whole bunch of water and get it out of there. Because it got to be so soupy, I couldn't get to my green without it changing color. So I'm going to use green now because I don't know, I kind of feel like poetically there should be a hint of green on the background to remind us of where these leaves came from, and that when spring comes, the green will be back. Okay, I'm done. Now, interestingly enough, I always tell you, every painting's going to come out different, right? So here's the one that we were looking at first. Some movement, some splatter. Look at the one I just finished. A lot more movement, a lot more background splatter. Yeah, it looks like there might be a storm brewing on this one. So this is your fall leaves. Now I want you to take the other line drawing, oops, not this one, sorry, let me get this one. The other line drawing that I sent you, and that is this lovely autumn leaf painting, and just try it. All I'll tell you is the background should be very, very, very pale green. Add some yellow to it and merge the yellow into the green, just like nature would be doing in the fall. Then merge some brownish, or probably just red. I think I stay away from the brown on this one. Just the red, and make it kind of pink even, and put some on there. And just try different colors. You could actually paint these leaves blue. All different colors of, say, blue and yellow. And it would come out great. It's not so much about the colors you use as the values, the lights and the darks. I like this one too because it has holes in the leaves. This was in the source photo I used. There were actually some holes in the leaves, and so I put holes in there. So there are your autumn leaves. Let's just pause this for a sec. Okay, we're back. I hope you had fun painting these leaves. Now I want to challenge you, don't forget, once you paint these, you're going to give it away. Don't be afraid to give it away just because you think it isn't good enough. You'll be surprised how much people will be helped and uplifted by you painting a card for them. Find a place to sign it. I like this one. I think it came out pretty nice. I'm happy with my autumn leaves. I also like these autumn leaves. They're just different, you know. This is more of an illustrated look. This is more of a true watercolor look. So paint some autumn leaves. Give it away to somebody. And do me a favor. When you pick someone to give something to, a painting to, or maybe you make a bookmark or whatever you paint, I would love to hear back from you how it went. Like, what did they say? What happened when you gave it to them? How did it make you feel when you used your talent to create something and then give it away? I've had some great experiences making cards for people who said to me later, oh, how did you know I loved whatever it is? Whatever the topic of the painting was. Like, I didn't know you liked that. I do, and I can't even tell you also how many people have my cards up on their walls or up on their library shelf. Some people have actually framed them. You will bring a lot of joy into people's lives. So coming up over the next few weeks, snowmen, Christmas trees, Christmas bough with an ornament, and maybe some poinsettias. We'll see how many weeks we can go. This is already Thanksgiving week. So I've only got 4 weeks to do that, and the busier you get, the less you're going to want to be painting, probably. But I'm encouraging you to please stop what you're doing once a week for just 30 minutes and paint a little something fun. And also, as I always say, be kind to yourself. You are doing the best you can for who you are today. Thanks so much. See you later.